Assalamu alaikum. Today we have 22nd lecture for Business Finance Mgt232. We were studying about financial statement analysis, and in the last lecture we studied about few of the ratios. Let's have a brief overview of our last lecture. That was about different ratios, including your liquidity ratio, financial leverage ratios, and asset management ratio. Now when we talk about liquidity ratios show you that how much a company has an ability to pay off its short-term debt. That is the short-term debt paying ability of the company. In liquidity ratios, we have three different ratios. The first one is your current ratio, your asset test ratio or the quick asset ratio, and third one is your net working capital. When we talk about a current ratio tells you about the liquidity position of a company considering the current assets and liabilities. It indicates or shows that how much a company is able to pay off its current liabilities through its current assets. Then we use BW's, that is basket wonders example, and balance sheet in order to find out the current ratio. The formula for current ratio is current assets over current liabilities. Now this shows only the condition of a company, but we have to compare our ratios with the previous years and with in comparison with the industry or any other companies within the industry in order to get a clear idea about how company is performing within an industry. Now we also found out that in current ratio is stronger than your industry average. Then we found out about the quick asset ratio or the asset test ratio. According to asset test ratio or quick test ratio, it tells you about the extreme liquidity position of a company, or you can say the real liquidity position of a company. It tells you about the current position of your company, liquidity position of a company considering the most liquid assets. And when we talk about the most liquid assets, we does not consider the inventory, and I have told you the reason behind it, that that you do not consider the inventory because inventory is not included in the most liquid assets. Your accounts receivable, your cash equivalents, all these are considered as the most liquid assets, but your inventories does not considered as the most liquid asset. The reason behind this is that your inventory cannot be easily convertible into cash as much as we can convert the cash equivalents or other marketable securities. Reason being, or other assets, the reason being कि आप जब inventory को लिया है, inventory material form में भी है, you have some product in your hand. You can go to the market, you can sell those products, or you can use that material to form that product and then sell it to the market. Now the whole process of creating the product and then selling, or just selling the your product to the market, now requires a long period of time. Not very long, but actual complete product development cycle. That how much time product is taken in being developed in a finished good form. So जब हमने इन्वेंट्री ली, इन्वेंट्री को मटेरियल फॉर्म में किया और फिर सेल आउट किया, तो ये एक टाइम पीरियड प्लस ये टाइम पीरियड कि अगर मेरे पास ऑलरेडी फिनिश्ड गुड फॉर्म में प्रोडक्ट इज अवेलेबल एंड आई एम गोइंग टू द मार्केट एंड सेलिंग इट आउट, नॉट नेसेसरी दैट आई एम गोइंग टू गेट द बायर्स फॉर माय प्रोडक्ट. एग्जैक्टली वैसे ही बायर्स मिले और एग्जैक्टली वैसे मेरे पास सेल्स आए, तो बहुत इजीली कन्वर्टेबल टू कैश नहीं होता आपका द प्रोडक्ट जो इन्वेंट्री में पड़ी हुई चीजें. तो आपकी इन्वेंट्री जो है वो एग्जैक्टली वैसे ही कन्वर्टेबल टू कैश नहीं होती, इसलिए हम इसको मोस्ट लिक्विड एसेट कंसीडर नहीं करते. then we looked at compared this value with the industry average, and we found out that it is a weaker value, and we compared the current ratio and the quick asset test ratio, and we found out that there is a problem with the inventory. कहीं ना कहीं inventories में कोई problem है, because this a certain industry consider the high rate of, or the high values of the, or high inventory, keeps the high inventory within the companies. तो इसके अगर हम लोग कोई कैसे टेस्ट रेशियो के मुताबिक देखें तो मोस्ट लिक्विड एसेट पोजीशन, तो इसका मतलब थोड़ी सी वीक थी. करंट रेशियो के मुताबिक इट वाज फाइन. नाउ देन वी found out the net working capital. When we talk about the net working capital, it tells you about the safety cushion of the company, that whether it is the safety cushion of the company, that whether whether the company will be able to pay off its liabilities using its assets. So we look at the number of liabilities that can be paid off through your assets. Now, if it is a positive value of net working capital indicates that it is a good sign. It indicates that company has or company is able to pay off its liability in order with its current assets or total assets. And if it is a negative sign, it's a bad sign. It shows that company does not have enough assets in order to pay off its current liabilities only. And the formula is your assets minus liabilities, equal to your net working capital, or current assets is equals to current minus current liabilities. Now that was all about your liquidity ratio. When we talked about the financial leverage ratios are also known as your long-term debt ratio, or we call it as solvency ratio as well. Solvency ratio or long-term debt ratio, financial leverage ratio, only leverage ratios, all these are used for the same ratios. In financial leverage ratios, we looked at 4 different ratios. The first one was your debt to equity ratio. Now, debt to equity ratio gives you the information about how much debt is from the overall financing. मतलब जो total हमने financing की है उसमें से आपका debt to equity ratio क्या है, debt का कितना portion and your equity portion कितना है, and how much you are financing through your debt. Then we talked about debt to asset ratio. Now debt to asset ratio tells you about then how much your assets are being financed through your debt, only through the debt financing. Then we have another one, that is your interest coverage ratio. Now interest coverage ratio tell you about the how much about the ability of the company to pay off its interest expense, because interest expense ये बहुत important है आपके, ये जितनी भी ratios हम financial leverage के पढ़ते हैं specifically from the point of view of your we can say your debt holders, your bond holders, your trade creditors. All those creditors are very much interested in knowing the financial leverage position of a company, and your financial leverage ratios actually tell you about the leverage position of a company, how much company is able to pay off its debt, and how company is performing to pay off its long-term debt or short-term debt. Then there was another ratio. Then interest coverage ratio actually tells you about your interest expenses, how much company is able to pay off its interest expenses. Then we have asset management ratio. Within asset management ratio, we found out different ratios regarding asset turnover, that is total asset turnover ratio. Then we had account receivable turnover. Now accounts receivable turnover and receivable in days. Then we through account receivable turnover we found out receivable in days. The larger the number of these receivable, the bad the sign is. The lesser the number of receivables, it is better for the company. Then we found out the inventory turnover, that how much company is keeping, how much time company is taking to convert its inventory into cash. How much company is taking time to convert its receivable into cash, that is asset receivable turnover. Accounts receivable turnover. Then we talked about the payable turnover and payable turnover in days, that is your number of days company is taking in order to convert its payable into cash, making the payment of these payables in cash. So these were 3 basic types of ratios we looked at. Now today we are going to move forward to the profitability ratios and few more analysis, including your trend and index analysis. Let's look at the profitability analysis first. Now when we talked about profitability ratios, we have 2-3 major type of ratios in profitability. What profitability ratios tells you about? Basically profitability ratios tells you about how efficient company is in earning its profit, how company is performing, and it tells you about the financial health of the company, its performance, its financial health, and its ability to earn profit. All these conditions, all these ratios include certain ratios which are dealing with the profitability of the company, and most of the time your shareholders, your owners of the company, or your potential shareholders or investors are very much interested in knowing the profitability ratios, because it tells you exactly the percentage with which the company is giving return on your investment, or company is earning profit. For the first profitability ratio is your gross profit margin. Well, gross profit margin indicates the efficiency of operations and firm pricing policies. Now it tells you, whenever we talk about gross profit, it is like net income minus cost of goods sold is equals to gross profit. That is your original profit that comes to you after paying off your initial cost. जब आप अपनी initial cost pay कर देते हैं तो अपने revenues या sales में से आप कि बस प्रॉफिट आ जाती है कि एक्चुअल प्रॉफिट आपने कितना अर्न किया, एंड देन यू स्टार्ट पेइंग ऑफ योर अदर एक्सपेंसेस. तो ग्रॉस प्रॉफिट बेसिकली आपको बेसिक इन्फॉर्मेशन देता है. नाउ ग्रॉस प्रॉफिट इज फाउंड, ग्रॉस प्रॉफिट मार्जिन इज फाउंड आउट एज ग्रॉस प्रॉफिट एज अ परसेंटेज ऑफ नेट सेल्स. So gross profit is over net sales is equal to your gross profit margin, and it indicates the efficiency of operations and firm pricing policies. इससे ये पता चलता है कि क्या कॉस्ट रखी हुई थी, क्या प्राइसिंग पॉलिसी थी, कितना ज्यादा ग्रॉस प्रॉफिट के ऊपर फोकस हो रहा है. एंड ऑपरेशनल एफिशिएंसी इस तरीके से देखी जाती है कि कितने ज्यादा उसका ऑपरेशंस आर इन्वॉल्व इन रिड्यूसिंग द कॉस्ट सो दैट इट हैज लार्ज नंबर ऑफ ग्रॉस प्रॉफिट. The formula is gross profit over net sales. Now if we look at the income statement and balance sheet of Basket Wonders, which is one of the example we have been working on, the gross profit, if you look at the income statement, the gross profit is 612,000 rupees, and cost of goods sold is 1599, and your net sales is 2,211,000 rupees. Now if you put that thing into the formula of gross profit margin, you have rupees 612 divided by 2,201 is equals to 0.277. This 0.277 is your gross profit, or we can say that 27% of is your gross profit. We can interpret it as 27% of your net sales is your gross profit. Only 25. इसका मतलब ये कि जो remaining percentage हो गई, जो भी आपकी percentage है, that is, let's suppose it is 73%, क्योंकि 27 अगर ये तो इसका मतलब 73% is in your cost. बहुत ज़्यादा effective individually नहीं है. Let's compare that with the industry average. So we can look, and with the number of years we can see that from 2011 to 2013 it reduces from 31.3 to 27.7% respectively. If we talked about industry average, for 2011 it is 27.6, 30.8 for 2012, and 31.1% for 2013, and it has increased over time. So we can say that Basket Wonder has a weak gross profit margin as compared to its industry. तो industry से वो काफी कम है, 27.7%. That means company has to look into its operational efficiency and look at its pricing policies. It has to consider reducing the cost of its goods sold so that it can increase its gross profit. Now if you look at the gross profit margin trend analysis, if you compare the industry average value and your original company Basket Wonders over the number of period of years for the gross profit, we can see that gross profit for the Basket Wonders, that is indicated in blue line, is decreasing. It has a decreasing trend. But if we compare it with the industry average is increasing over the period of time. तो आप ये देख सकते हैं कि ये decreasing or increasing, they are going in opposite direction. So we can say that there is a certain problem with your gross profit margin, and company has to reconsider its pricing policies and its operational efficiency, and have to look at considering its cost of the material. After gross profit, we have another profitability ratio that is known as your net profit margin. If we talk about net profit margin, it indicates the firm's profitability. किसी भी चीज की जब भी हमने profitability देखनी होती है, we looked at its net income, its net cash flows, or net profit. So when we are talking about net profit margin, we are actually talking about percentage of net profit, net profit as a percentage of your net sales, कि sales का net profit कितनी percentage है, and it indicates the firm's profitability after taking into account all the expenses and income taxes. When we talk about gross profit margin, we are actually talking about your profitability, or we can say that we are talking about profitability only regarding your sales and cost of goods sold, but it does not include the expenses. But if we include all the expenses, including all the expenses and your interest expense, your taxes, and then finding out that what is actual profit of a company after paying out all the expenses and the cost, and then finding out how much percentage of this profit is how much percentage this profit is of your net sales or net revenues. So net profit margin indicates your profitability. Clear profitability, if you have to find out, you can find out the net profit margin or return on asset and return on equity. Both of them we are going to study in our next slides. Now looking at net profit margin and its formula, it's net profit margin or net profit after sales after taxes. Net profit margin is equals to net profit after sales whole divided by net sales. That is net profit over net sales. So if we look at for the basket bonders, we can see that two things we need is your net profit and net sales from your income statement. If you look at sales figure, it is 1,000 rupees for as net sales, and your net income is earning after taxes, जो कि हमारी net actual net income है, that is 91,000 rupees. So if you put that into the formula, that is net profit over net sales, we have 91,000 rupees over 2,201 1,000 rupees is equals to 0.041. That means only 4.1% of your net profit is of your sales. That means कि sales की सिर्फ 4.1% is your net profit. Original sales में से बाकी जितनी percentage है, that has been paid off as your cost and expenses and your taxes. But the remaining 4.1% is only your net profit, which has to be divided into your shareholders as cash dividend and keeping as return earnings. Now if we compare it with the industry average, we can see that for basket bonders over the years from 2011, 12 and 13, it is 9.0, 4.9 and 4.1% respectively, which is indicating that it is a bad condition and a bad sign, because it has decreased over the time from 9 to directly 4.9 and then 4.1. If we look at the industry average, we have 7.6 in 2011, 8.1 in 2012 and 8.2% in 2013. We can see that it is increasing. The industry average has an increasing trend, while basket bonder has a decreasing trend, and a huge amount of difference is there from 2011 to 12. That means it is in a poor condition. The company's profitability is not very much good. It is half of what the industry average is. Industry average, if the industry average is 8.2%, your basket bonder's percentage is 4.1%. That means it is on the least range or on the least side of profitability within your industry. So, so the company, there is a serious problem, and the company has to consider the profitability conditions and its cost and expenses. If you look at the trend analysis of this net profit margin, we can see that the blue line indicating the basket bonders values, which are continuously decreasing and declining, while if you look at the industry average, it is increasing with a certain ratio over the time period. So there is a contradicting result for trend analysis for both the net profit margin of basket bonders and an industry average, and we can say that there is a poor condition of net profit margin, or profitability or the financial health of a company is very poor as compared to its industry and other competitors. Now after that, we have another ratio that is called as return on investment. Well, return on investment is one of the ratio which indicates the profitability on the assets of the firm after all expenses and taxes. कि हम ये consider करते हैं कि कितने सारे taxes pay off करने के बाद. Now return on investment is also known as your return on assets. If you look at it, this return on asset is also known as your return on assets, and return on assets is one of the very important and mostly used ratio for finding out the profitability of the firm. किसी भी firm की profitability find out करनी है, what we find out, we directly go to return on assets or return on equity in order to know the profitability of the company. It is a clear, or we can say it is a true reflection of your financial health of the company, and it indicates the profitability of the company considering the assets, which after all the expenses and taxes has been paid off. So उसके बाद की profitability देखते हैं कि कितना ज़्यादा. Now we can say that in case of return on investment or return on assets, जो नाम से indicate कर रहे हैं return on assets, that means assets में जितनी investment हुई हुई है, उन assets आपको कितने return दे रहे हैं, या आपकी investment के ऊपर आपको कितना return मिल रहा है. Investment assets में ही हुई होती है. So the formula is return net profit after taxes over your total assets. अब इसमें क्या indicate कर रहा है कि what is the percentage of net profit, what is the percentage net profit is of your total assets, यानी कि total assets की कितनी percentage your net profit है. Now if you look at the example of basket bonder, what we need to know the total assets and we need to know the net profit. If we look at the balance sheet, we would know the total assets value, that is 2,169,000 rupees. If you look at the income statement and we would like to know the net profit, that is your earning after taxes, that is your 91,000 rupees. If you put that thing into the value, into the formula, that is 91,000 rupees divided by 2,160,000 rupees, we would get 0.042. That is only 4.2% of your net profit are your total assets. Your total assets are producing only 4.2% profit, your overall assets. So that's a bad sign for the company. Now if we compare it over the year and with the industry, we can see that over the year from 2011 to 12 and 13, we have 9.1, 5.0, 4.2% respectively. That is a decreasing trend, and that is a bad sign for the company that the profitability is decreasing. Now if we compare it with the industry, in the industry it is 10.8, 9.1 and 9.8%. It is on average on an equal basis that it decreases and then it increases in the industry. So we can say that the basket founder has a very poor return on assets or return on investment because it is not getting enough return as has been invested in assets. So firm has a very serious condition or very serious concerns about the profitability. If we look at the trend analysis and its comparison for return on investment or return on asset, we can see that the blue line indicates the decreasing trend for your return on asset. That is from going from 9 to 5 to and then to 4.2. That is a huge difference over the years. If we look at the red line, that is your industry average, that indicates that there is a slight downwards and then upward. On average it is equal. On average it is equal for return on asset and the industry average. So we can see that the trend analysis is also indicating the we can say the distraction from the distraction, or we can say that they are very different from each other, and the company has to, must have a serious concerns about its profitability, and company has to take into account certain expenses and costs and the profitability of the firm, that why the organization is not earning certain profits in order to compete in its industry. If we look at another profitability ratio, that is your return on equity, that is again similarly telling you about it indicates your profitability for your shareholders, that what return each shareholder or equity holder is earning on its investment, the percentage return on each unit of investment from your shareholders. The equity return, we can say the equity return. So we look at the return on equity, that indicates the profitability to the shareholders of the firm after all the expenses and the taxes. So most of the time shareholders look at the return on asset or investment or return on equity. The formula for net return on equity is net profit after taxes over shareholders' equity. That means your total net profit. We look at that what is the percentage of your net profit per unit of investment, per total number of investment being done. So if we look at the balance sheet, we can look at the shareholders equity, which is written as 1,139. that is your total shareholders equity, and if you look at the net profit, that is your 91,000 rupees. So if we use these values in the formula, that is net profit after taxes over shareholders equity, we can find out that 91,000 rupees divided by 1,139,000 rupees is equal to 0.08 or 8%. This 8% is a very poor condition of your return on equity, and it indicates that a company is not doing very well and getting only 8% return on each unit of investment from the shareholders. Now as compared to its industry specifically and other investment options. Now if you look at its values from previous years and from the industry, we can see that from 2011 to 2013 the return on equity was 16.6 to 9.4, and now it's 8%. It has a decreasing trend, and if we look at the values of industry average, that's 20.4 plus 20.4, then 17.2 and 17.9% respectively over the period of 2011 to 2013. Now if we compare it with the industry average, we can see that there is a huge difference. Not even a half value is your basket wonders. Not agar return on equity for industry average is 17.9% and your 8%, this is not the half of your what industry average is, what other competitors or other companies in the industry is earning. So it has a very poor return on equity, and it is a bad sign, and it is an alarming situation where the company seriously has to look into its profitability ratios or its percentage return they are offering to your shareholders equity. Now, if you look at the return on equity trend analysis comparison, we can see that the blue line has a very decreasing trend. That indicates the return on equity for basket warners. And if you look at the return on equity of industry or industry average, it also has a decreasing trend, but not very less. And if we look at the gap between the basket warners value and the industry average, it is a very huge gap, which indicates that return on equity is very poor for basket warners as compared to the industry, and the company should seriously think about earning return and profit and increasing its profitability, and have to look at the different strategies to improve its return on equity or its profitability. Now, if we look at another kind of analysis that is for finding out return on investment and return on equity, we have another type of approach, that is dopant approach or dopant analysis. Now, dopant approach or dopant analysis is a method of measuring the performance of a company or the financial health of a company. Well, dopant analysis or approach was being used by Dopant Corporation around about in 1920s, where they found out a different way of finding out the return on investment and equity, and the assumption was that they consider assets with their gross net value, gross book value, rather than its net book value. That means over the period of years it find out your book value, and it does not consider the depreciation. Then it also indicate your different formula for finding out this dopant approach, your return on investment and your return on equity through dopant approach, and it tells you about three different efficiencies of the firm or the performance of the firm. The first one is your operational efficiency, that is measured through your net profit margin. It tells you about the asset usage efficiency, that is measured through your total asset turnover, and in the last it tells you about the financial leverage position of the company through your equity multiplier. We will be find out how and what is equity multiplier, and how we found out through the dopant analysis. Well, dopant analysis, when we talk about the return on investment, that means it is talking about your profits and earnings. So if you look at the formula, it is earning power is equals to straight sales profitability over asset efficiency. So sales profitability multiplied by your asset efficiency gives you your earning power. So earning power, we find out this earning power as return on investment, that is equals to net profit margin into total asset turnover. So for sales profitability, we look at net profit margin. For asset efficiency, we look at total asset turnover. If you look at the return on investment using your dopant analysis for 2013 and basket warners, we have 0.041, that is 4.1% was your net profit margin. If you remember, we just found out that the net profit margin for the company of basket warners is 4.1%, and total asset turnover is 1.02. That was what we found in our last lecture, that is in asset management ratio, that the total asset turnover is 1.02. Now, if we multiply this net profit margin and your total asset turnover, we found out that the value becomes 0.042 or 4.2%. This is the value what we found out through for return on investment directly through one formula. And if you look at the industry average, it would be 9.8%. So this 4.2 and 9.8% has a huge difference, which indicates that return on investment has serious issues, and company has to look at its assets, its cost, its prices for the products, and some other few analysis as well. Then now, another way of finding out your return on equity through dopant approach. For return on equity, we multiply our net profit margin with the total asset turnover, and then equity multiplier. Well, equity multiplier gives you the information about your about the total assets being financed through your equity, shareholders' equity. That is asset to equity ratio. That tells you that how much of your assets are actually financed by your shareholders' equity, or your equity finances. Now, the equity multiplier, the formula of equity multiplier is equals to total assets over shareholders' equity. If we found out through using the values from the basket warners balance sheet, and from the basket warner balance sheet, if we look at this, the value for total asset is 2211, and the value of shareholders equity is 1139, then we find out that the value is equals to 1.09. 1.09 is the value of your equity multiplier. Now if we multiply all the values of net profit margin, total asset turnover and equity multiplier for 2013 for basket wonders, we have 0.041 into 1.02 into 1.90, which is equal to your 0.080. That means only 8% of your return on equity is being held by your basket owner. This is the exact amount that we found out through our direct formula. Then if you look at the return on equity of the industry average, it is 0.0179, that is 17.9%, and there is a huge difference from 8% to 17.9%. So that is what indicates the same, and it is the same answer. We can check the answer of return on asset and return on equity through this formula as well. Now let's have a summary of the profitability trend analysis. Well, the profitability ratios for BW have all been falling since 2011. If you look at the net profit margin, the gross profit margin, the return on asset and the return on equity, you'll analyze that all the values has been decreasing. From 2011 it has a decreasing trend. Each has been below the industry averages for past 3 years. After 3 years comparing from 2011, 12 and 13, we can see that it has a decreasing trend, and industry average से वो हमेशा value कम रही है. Now this indicates that cost of goods sold and administrative costs may both be too high. क्योंकि हाँ हो सकता है कि आपकी cost और administrative expenses इतने ज़्यादा कि आपको overall net profit कम हो जाते हैं, आपको gross profit की value कम हो जाती है. And a potential problem for basket owners, definitely it is a problem for basket owners. They have to look at the net profitability. They have to look at the profitability on a very urgent basis in order to find out that where does this lack or gap exist. That might be for any condition, किसी भी operational efficiency या किसी और asset turnover assets की उसमें problem आ सकती है. Now this is very important to note that this result is consistent with the low interest coverage ratio, जिसके अंदर भी हमें यही पता चला था कि interest expense बहुत low है और बहुत the company is not able to pay off its expenses. और उसमें हमें ये भी चीज़ पता चली थी कि हमारे cost of goods and expenses बहुत ज़्यादा है, जिसकी वजह से हमें interest expense ज़्यादा pay करना पड़ा है. Company is not able to pay off its interest expense or cover its interest expenses. If you look at the ratio analysis, ratio जितना भी हमने ratio analysis के including your profitability, liquidity, asset management and your financial leverage ratios, we can find out that there is a summary. Well, if you look at the summary, it is inventories are too high, maybe inventories are too high. ये तो हमने find out किया using your current ratio and your quick asset ratio. We come to know that the industry inventories are too high, and these too high inventories are being used in the industry as well, because there was a very slight difference between current ratio and quick asset test ratio with the industry average. So we found out that there is a serious problem with the inventory, but the overall industry also considered the huge or large amount of inventories. Then if we talk about maybe paying off creditors accounts too soon, that means कि accounts receivable इसकी और accounts payable बहुत ही अच्छे level पे थे, that they can easily be now pay their creditors, and because of the good condition. Then we looked at the cost of goods sold may be too high. Of course, then when we found out the profitability ratio, we found out that there is some issue with the gross profit margin or net profit margin. That means that your cost and your and the strategy for you are being using for your cost and pricing of the products, and you also found out that there is a huge amount of expense being there bear by the company. So if we have to look at the cost of goods sold, that is too high, and we have to apply new strategies and new pricing policies. Then selling, general and administrative cost may be too high as well. The same explanation, that your cost of goods sold, after cost of goods sold, your gross profit, and then net profit margin is also very low. That indicates that your other expenses, not only your cost of goods sold, but your other expenses are going very high as well. You have to control all your expenses. You have to have a control over your cost and expenses of the firm. Now that was about your ratio analysis. We also talked about 2 or 3 more different analysis. The one is your common size analysis, and then we have a trend analysis of vertical analysis. When we talk about common size analysis, we have our horizontal and vertical analysis. Well, horizontal analysis is that which or we can say the horizontal, or that is horizontally, and vertical analysis is like this. That means we are comparing over the periods, and we are within a period over different items, and we are also comparing over the number of years. That is horizontal and that is vertical. Now common size analysis is an analysis of percentage financial statements where all balance sheet items are divided by your total assets and all income statement items are divided by your net sales or revenue. So common size analysis करते हैं जिसके अंदर हम सारे common size कर देते हैं हर जगह हर अपनी number of years को, and then we found out that what is the difference or इतनी with the comparison we found out that there is a difference, difference exists, and what is your trend analysis. Now it is the analysis of percentage financial statements where all the financial statement items. अब इसके अंदर एक चीज़ बहुत important है to understand, yet your balance sheet items divided by your total assets and your income statement divided by net sales of the company. So we divide all the income statement items by net sales and divide all the balance sheet items by your total assets. Now let's look at this thing, how we are going to find out. For basket wonders common size balance sheet analysis, if we look at 3 different years, that is from 2011 to 2013, we on the regular thousand side, on the left side we have all those values in thousands, and then on the left hand side you can see that we on the left hand side we have the common size analysis. Now it would be opposite for you, of course, because it will be sitting in front of me or your video or your laptop. You will be finding out this as your right and this as your left side. Now for 2011, 12 and 13 we have different values for cash, account receivable, total current assets, total fixed assets, investments, and then total assets. If we go for common size analysis, it means that we have to divide each item of each year with your total assets. So the value would be, if you found out, that would be each item divided by your total assets, that would find out this value. Now if we look at it from 2011 to 13, if you look at the values of 2011, now what is the what is the total assets for 2011? That is 1223. That means we have to divide each value with 1123. That means 148 divided by 1223. That means if we find out the value, that would be 12.10. Similarly, if we look at the value of 2012, we'll be converting them into percentages through cash divided by your cash divided by your total number of assets, equal to your value for 2011, common size value for 2011. Similarly, for accounts receivable, inventory, and total current assets, net assets, and in the end net assets as well, which has to be, we have to divide each and every item with your net assets value. For 2013, if we look at the value of 2013, that means we are dividing 90 divided by 2169. For account receivable, it is 394.18.1 394 divided by 2169, that would form 18.17. Similarly, if you divide this value rupees or dollars, you can say in values in rupees or dollars, so 15 rupees or $15, that would, when divided by your total assets, that is 2169, we found out that the value was 0.69 for your common size analysis. Now in common size, what we do, for each, we find out the values for individual number of years, but we divide each and every item of your balance sheet with your net sales or net assets or total number of assets. So each item of the balance sheet is then divided by the total asset, and we find out the value for each item for the coming up years as forecasting. This is called trend analysis. Looking at the previous year's work, you find out your new own. Now if we talk about the liability side, that is the left hand side of your balance sheet, we have the similar number of years from 2011 to 13, and 2011 to 13 we have common size percentage, and we have regular values that are in pounds, or we can say that would be in rupees. So if we look at it, we have notes payable, we have accounts payable, we have total current liabilities and long-term debt and equity. For common size analysis regarding your liability side, we will again divide each and every item with your total assets. We are going to divide 23.71 divided by your 23.71 is the answer for your 2011, and if we find it out the value, we will be doing 290 rupees or dollars divided by your total assets, that is 2169. You will dividing each and every item similarly. Your notes payable divided by total assets, accounts payable divided by total assets for 2011. Then for 2012 you will be dividing 295 divided by total assets, 94 divided by total assets. For 2013 you have some slight change within the common size analysis of the company. Now that was about common size analysis. If you look at the income statement, you have to, this is the common size analysis of the balance sheet. Now when we talk about the common size analysis of the income statement, we looked at it that we have to divide each and every item of your income statement with the net sales. That means we are going to divide the cost of goods sold with the net sales. For 2011, for example, we have 8,849 rupees divided by 1,235. We will be getting the answer as 68.7%. Similarly, if we find out the earning before interest indexes for year 2012, that is 222, we divided it by your total number of sales, that is 2106. Then for 2011 we can find out that the value would be 10.5% for your 2012 analysis. Now if we look at the value of 2013 EBIT for 2013, we have 210,000 rupees. We divide that value with your total number of assets, that is 2,211 rupees. We can find out that there is 9.5% value of your common size for your earning before taxes. Similarly, we will be using the same process for your 2013, where we divide each and every item with your net income with your net sales. So if you look at it is kind of a trend analysis. If you look at that, we have different trend for different years. For cost of goods sold, we have 68 to 71 to 72.3. So it is 68.7 से लेके 71.3 to we have 72.3% for 2013. It is an increasing trend. Now if we look at the earning before taxes, we have 15.1 to 8.1 to 6.8. It has a decreasing trend, and it was the earning is decreasing. Now if we look at the earning after taxes, we can find out the 9.1, then we have 4.9 and 4.1%. That means it is it has a decreasing trend, and there is a problem with your firm regarding your profitability or your earnings of the company. Now after that we have index analysis. In the index analysis, an analysis of percentage financial statements where all balance sheet or income statement items figures for a base year equal 0. That means कि हम एक certain base year ले लेते हैं इसके अंदर, and subsequent financial statement items, that means अगले जितने भी number of years के statements items होते हैं, they are expressed as percentage of their values in the base year. अब इसमें हम करते क्या है, we have let's suppose 3 years, इसमें से एक year को हम base year ले लेते हैं. Normally वो base year आपका जो सबसे least number of years, सबसे oldest year होता है, उसको हम ले लेते हैं. For example, if we have 2011, 12 and 13, we will be taking 2011 as your base year. एक ईयर को हम बेस ईयर ले लेते हैं. हमारे पास जितने भी चाहे बैलेंस शीट हो या नेट इनकम हो, इनके जितने भी आइटम्स होते हैं हर ईयर के, इनका कंपैरिजन इज ओवर द नंबर ऑफ ईयर्स. तो नंबर ऑफ ईयर्स पे आप कंपैरिजन कर रहे होते हैं. जबकि हमने कॉमन साइज एनालिसिस जब किया, दैट इज अ वर्टिकल एनालिसिस. उस वर्टिकल एनालिसिस में हमने वर्टिकली गए हैं कि हर आइटम को हमने वर्टिकली अपने टोटल एसेट एंड नेट सेल्स के साथ मल्टीप्लाई किया, डिवाइड किया. वो आपका वर्टिकल और कॉमन साइज एनालिसिस होता है. लेकिन जब हम इंडेक्स एनालिसिस को ट्रेंड एनालिसिस भी कहते हैं, दोनों को आप ट्रेंड एनालिसिस कह सकते हो, जब इनकी बात करते हैं तो हम ओवर द नंबर ऑफ ईयर्स, जो मैं इतने अरसे से आपको कहती रही हूँ, जितना भी रिस्क एंड रिटर्न पढ़ते रहे, इन्वेस्टमेंट पढ़ते रहे, शेयर वैल्यूएशन, तो हम ये देखते रहेंगे जी प्रीवियस नंबर ऑफ ईयर्स से हम आज की वैल्यूज फाइंड आउट करते हैं. वो ट्रेंड एनालिसिस होता है, आपकी परसेंटेज चेंज फाइंड आउट कर रहे थे कि ओवर द पीरियड ऑफ ईयर्स कितना चेंज आता है, परसेंटेज चेंज. नाउ इसमें हम क्या करते हैं, एक ईयर बेस ईयर ले लिया. नॉर्मली the least year or the oldest year होता है, that is 2011 for example. In our case it is 2011. अब 2011 का हर आइटम ऑफ द बैलेंस शीट का जितने है, फॉर एग्जांपल इफ यू टेक योर करंट एसेट्स डिवाइडेड बाय करंट एसेट्स ऑफ योर बेस ईयर, into 100. फिर 2012 के लिए current assets divided by current assets of 2011 into 100. Then current assets of 2013 divided by divided by current assets of 2011 into 100. That means 11 आपका base year है. Base year की value हर आगे जितने भी number of years हैं उन सबको सबके items को उस base year के item वाली value से multiply करके divide करके multiply by 100 करेंगे तो you have index analysis for over the years. Let's look at the example. अब देखते हैं हम लोगों ने किया कैसे. Now if you look at the example, you can find out that the base year we have is 2011 and we have certain other year 2012 and 13. अगर हम 2011 की values find out करें, what we are going to do, we are going to divide each and every item of each and every this year divided by your item of each and every item of your base year. अब हमने क्या किया कि 2011 base year लिए तो इसका मतलब हम 148 सबसे पहले हम कैश को कंसिडर करते हैं. बैलेंस शीट ली, कैश की वैल्यू है 148 क्योंकि हमारा बेस ईयर 2011 है तो हम 2011 से ही डिवाइड करेंगे तो 148 डिवाइडेड बाय 148 into 100 द आंसर इज 100. सिमिलरली 283 डिवाइडेड बाय 283 into 100. ये तो हो गया 2011 एंड मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम जब भी आप बेस ईयर की जो भी वैल्यू लेते हो उसकी सारी % वो 100 वैल्यूज होती है. Now when we move on to 2012, अब हम इसमें क्या करेंगे कि 2012 इसमें if you look at the value of 2011 for cash, it is $100,000. इस $100,000 को आप बेस ईयर की कैश से डिवाइड करेंगे. दैट इज वी हैव 100 डिवाइडेड बाय 148 into 100 करेंगे तो हमारे पास आंसर आता है 67.6%. All the values are in percentage. Then we move on to the next item, that is account receivable. We will be dividing account receivable of 2010 divided by the account receivable of the previous year. That is 410 divided by 283 into 100. So the answer would be this 144.9%. Similarly for another inventory, तो inventory के लिए हम क्या करेंगे? For 2012 it is 616, for 2011 it is 322, multiply by 100, the answer is 191.3%. Now अगर इसका आप फॉर्मूला चाहो तो आप लिख सकते हो current year value divided by your base year value into 100. So this is the formula for your index analysis कि आप हर जो current year for example में 2011 के लिए find out करें उसके item divided by base year का वही item into 100. Similarly now if we move on to 2013 we can see the value for cash for 2013 is 60.8. Now percent. अब ये find out कैसे हुई है? The value for of cash in 2013 is 90. The value for cash of 2011 is 148. So this is 90 divided by 148. The base year is your 2011. 2011 is your base year. So you divide each item of current year divided by base year item and into 100 तो आपके पास वैल्यू आ जाती है for the next. इसी तरह हम इसी को मूव करते जाएंगे up to तब तक जब तक कि हम सारे टोटल एसेट्स तक इवन आपकी लाइबिलिटीज को कंसिडर करके फाइंड आउट ना कर लें वैल्यू. Similarly we'll be doing the same case for your liabilities as well. अच्छा अगर आप पिछली स्लाइड में देखें तो we have a value which is infinity. ये तो INF लिखा, that is infinity. That means कि if we divide 50 by 0 क्योंकि आपकी long term inventory for 2011 was 0. तो अगर हम उसके लिए कंसिडर करें कि 50 divided by 0 is infinity, 50 divided by 0 is infinity, तो वो क्योंकि mathematical terms में है तो we don't consider that value. If we look at the liability side of the balance sheet, we can find out that similarly 2011 is your base year. And you will be finding out each and every value of dividing your current base value with your current year value with your base year. 295 divided by, you will be dividing this 295 by 290, so you will be getting 101.7. If you divide 290 divided by 290 for 2013, that is 100. For 94 it would be 94 divided by 81. It would be 94 divided by 81. we would have for next thing we will have 16 divided by 13. We have 16 divided by 13. If you look at the left liability side, it is almost equal to your for 2012 and 13, and we will be using the same analysis for the coming up years. Then if you look at the basket wonders income statement में भी हम यही करेंगे, हम 2012 को लेंगे base year, 2011 को लेंगे base year, and we will be finding out values for 2012 and 13. That is trend analysis. अब ये जो trend analysis percentage आती है हमारी, आज जी ओवर द ईयर इसकी 100 थी, 100 से अच्छा जी 69%, 70%, 78%, 75%. अब इन जितनी परसेंटेज आई पिछले 4 साल की, इन सबको ऐड करते हैं, इनकी डिवाइडेड बाय 4 करके एवरेज निकाल लें. जो एवरेज आती है उस एवरेज परसेंटेज को हम कंसिडर करते हैं फोरकास्ट करने के लिए अपने नेक्स्ट कमिंग अप ईयर्स की वैल्यूज को, कि जी इतने परसेंटेज ही हम एक्सपेक्ट करेंगे कि इतना परसेंटेज इंक्रीज आएगा आपके कैश इनफ्लोज और आउटफ्लोज में, क्योंकि आपका ट्रेंड एनालिसिस पिछले नंबर ऑफ ईयर्स में ऐसा ही है. Now, if you look at the value of 2012 for net sales, it is 2,106, and for 2011, it is 1,235. So you divide 2106 divided by 1235 into 100, so that is 170.5%. For 2013, we'll be dividing 2211 divided by 1235 value of 2011, and we find out that the value is 179%. Similarly, we use the same trend and same formulas for till we find out the cash dividend and earning after taxes, that is your net profit, and we find out these for number of years, and then we use that percentage as an average and use that average to find out the percentage increase or decrease in the future, or forecasting the future cash inflows. Now let's summarize our today's chapter. We studied about profitability ratios, and which indicate that how much efficiently company is earning its profit, how company is dealing with its financial health, and it actually basically tells you about the financial health of the firm. Now there are 4 different profitability ratios: gross profit margin, net profit margin, return on assets, and return on equity. And we most of the time, we as an analyst, we as an investor, the potential investors, the shareholders, and all other owners look at the profitability ratios, all these 4 ratios, in order to know the financial health of the firm. With our example of basket wonders, we found out that there is a decreasing trend for all these 4 ratios, and company has to consider its cost, its expenses, and its profit for as compared to its industry, because its industry has an increasing trend, and its values are very weak as compared to its industry average. So a company seriously has to look at its cost and managing its cost and expenses, and looking at increasing the profits of the company. Then we found out the common size analysis and index and trend analysis. In common size analysis, we compared each item of balance sheet and net income vertically. हमने किया उनको compare over different number of years. For 2011, 12, and 13, when we talk about balance sheet, we divide each and every item of balance sheet with the total assets to find out its percentage over the years. And for different number of years, हमने different उसके total assets लिए. For net income, we divide each item of balance of the income statement. For income statement, we divide each item of your income statement with the net sales value of each certain year. Then when we talk about index or trend analysis, जिसके बारे में हम काफी अरसे से बात कर रहे हैं, we found out that in index or trend analysis, we compared the values over the period of years. कि हम लोग एक बेस ईयर लेते हैं, we consider 1 year as base year, and that is one of mostly the least year or the oldest year, and we compare these values with the number of coming up years. For example, जो 2011, 12 and 13 थी, 2011 अगर base year है, तो हम each item of 2011 will be divided by your base year value, that is 2011. तो 2012 अगर 2011 हमारा base year है, तो 2012 का हर item will be divided by your base year item. 2013 का हर item divided by your base year item, multiply by 100. So we found out that current year over base year into 100 is help you to find out the value of your trend over the number of years. और इनकी जो परसेंटेज हम पिछले जितने 5, 6 या 10 सालों के लिए वैल्यूज फाइंड आउट करते हैं, जितनी परसेंटेजेस आती हैं उनकी एवरेज फाइंड आउट करती है, उस एवरेज को कंसिडर करके आगे यूज करते हैं हम एज a percentage for forecasting the certain values of cash flows and your net sales and your total assets and net profit. Well, that was all about your today's lecture. We will be moving on to finding out your horizontal analysis and few more trend analysis example, and your market value ratios, जो कि हमने एक ratio छोड़ी है, that is market value or book value ratios, and we will be moving on to that in our next lecture. Thank you.